I am going to demonstrate how to translate this template into any size cube you want to make, as long as you have a piece of poster board or some kind of stiff card stock that can accommodate it. And the way to decide how big of a sheet you're going to need is to decide on the size of the cube that you're going to do. If I wanted to have a 4x4 cube, I would need 4 squares across, and I would need 3 squares height-wise. That would be 4 times 4 inches for the length and 3 times 4 inches for the width. You still have to add an additional ½ inch or so to the length in order to accommodate a tab. So those are the dimensions for a cube that'll work well on a piece of poster board. But the poster board is a little bit big to fit under the camera, so I am going to demonstrate measuring it out on a sheet of 8.5 by 11 letter size paper, and I'm going to make 2.5 inch squares. So I'm going to mark tick marks on my paper along the edge. Now I'm going to do the tabs a ½ inch wide, even though this is a small box, just for simplicity's sake. So starting over at the right edge, we've got a ½ inch from the edge, and I'm going to put a tick mark at a ½ inch. Then I'm going to go 2.5 inches, another tick mark, another 2.5 inches, another tick mark, 2.5, final 2.5. We're going to repeat this on the other edge very precisely. ½ inch mark, 2.5 inch, 2.5 inch, 2.5 inch, 2.5 inch. Now we're going to do along the width of the box. It's going to be straight 2.5 inch measurements. There are no tabs on the ends, but there are going to be some interior tabs along the length. So we're going to start out with 2.5 inches from the edge. Will take us to here, another 2.5 inches here, another 2.5 inches here. Then we're going to go on these two center marks, we're going to go a ½ inch outside of them. ½ inch, ½ inch. Repeat that over here. And now we have all the tick marks we need. Now we're going to line them up. First I'm going to go by the length. I like to turn my ruler upside down because with the cork on the other side it leaves too much of a shadow and too much height, and I am not ever sure that I'm getting my tick mark lined up perfectly. So there's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the score lines first. I'm going to do these with pencils. Now I'm going to do this kind of dark so that you could see it on the camera, but you'll want to do them lighter. And then we're going to do the horizontal lines. Okay, so our score lines are going to be this perimeter here, and then these. Now we're going to draw in the tabs. Alright, so we've got tab either here or here. You don't need both of them. You just pick whichever one you want. Then these are the other tabs. Our tabs need to have diagonals in these on these edges so that when the box is folded they don't bump into each other, and that will make more sense later. So what we want to do is eyeball kind of a square on either side of these fold lines, and then we're going to draw a diagonal. We want to go a little bit beyond the square so that we have plenty of leeway. before we do any more cutting, we are going to score. You will want to score with something dull. This is a knitting needle. It could have a little more of a point than this, but a round point is good. There's also these nail art tools that are pretty popular now. We're going to score first. So let's turn it this way. I've got a longer ruler this time. And I think I'll try it with this tool. So we're going to first do these long lines, perimeter. You can't see, I'm going off camera. Now here's another thing. I'm working on the dull side of the poster board. There's a shiny side and a dull side. I prefer the dull side because the shiny, if you use markers and things like that on it, they smear and all kinds of stuff. And it's not very good for scoring. When you score, it still wants to crack when you start folding on it. But on this side, it seems to work better. So that's the side I'm using. That's why. If you prefer the shiny side, that's fine. It just may not give you the results you want. So we've got all of our score lines done. Now we're going to do our cutting. Okay, and this is going to be the point where you're going to do your X's on each of these squares. Do them very lightly, then you'll have your center point, and you can use a compass to do circles, you can use the ruler to do squares like I showed. Here's where we're going to do the folding now. Hold our hand for support underneath there and get the fold started very gently. So we're pushing it, and now that we've got it started, now we can force it the rest of the way. We want to see that it's bending on that score. Now we're going to take something like a Sharpie, or if you have a burnishing tool, it's sort of like a letter opener with a dull edge. You could use that. We're going to sharpen these edges. We're going to press hard. So here is where this is a face, so we want to be careful here. Let's just do it a little bit here. I'm going to just go ahead and do all my adhesive, and then I'm going to work the square. I just have to be careful not to get my fingers in it. And you can use glue if you want. It's fine. I just prefer double-sided tape. And there's our cube.